Welcome inside MetLife Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. Chris, before we began recording, you called it just another apocalyptic meeting between the Patriots and Giants. I don't think anybody could have summed it up any better than you did. A 27-26 nail-biting win for the Patriots. Yes, keeping the perfect season alive at 9-0. Let's start at the end. The 54-yard game-winning field goal, actually technically with one tick on the clock left, as the Patriots beat the Giants 27-26. Just where do you start when you look at this game? How will you remember it?
Well, again, it was another one of these unbelievable struggles between these two great franchises. I thought Eli Manning played very well, and he took advantage of what was given to him by the New England defense. I think on the other side of the ball, Tom Brady did not play all that well, but they were able to get contributions in all three phases of the game. After Julian Edelman went down, we saw a great performance today from Danny Amendola, who really kind of worked as kind of a scat back, did a little bit work, some work at a wide receiver, some work at a running back, did a little bit of everything. And I think he chipped in not only on offense, but on special teams with that unbelievable punt return. You got a great performance from, obviously, Stephen Gostkowski, who nailed the game winner with less than 10 seconds to go. You got a stand-up performance when it counted from your defense. Very key moments. Obviously, the Giants, I don't think, did a very good job managing the clock toward the end of the game, but at the same time, the Patriots got the stops when they needed to get them. Rob Ninkovich had a great sack, a very important sack, that ended up pushing the Giants out of field goal range. So you look at it in all three phases. You look at the work of the offense. Brady wasn't sharp, but you were still able to get a really good performance out of Rob Gronkowski, Danny Amendola, some of the running game as well. The defense wasn't up to par across the board, but you still got some great individual performances. And then you got the great performance on special teams from Gostkowski, from Amendola. It all adds up to a big New England victory.
I really thought the tenor of the game, Chris, for the first time all year, the Patriots looked a little bit tentative when they were down 20-10. The tenor of the game changed when Eric Martin, just joining the team within the last week, makes his presence known, as you said, on special teams, laying out Mark Hertzlick and springing Danny Amendola for the 82-yard punt return, and it would have been a touchdown if it weren't for Daron Harmon and Pat Chung on the back end, kind of bringing Amendola down to the ground. But still, I thought the tenor of the game changed with that block.
Exactly. The special teams, we hit on this every single week, it seems like. Special teams makes game-changing plays for this franchise. We saw it again tonight, not just the Gostkowski field goal, but the work of the kick coverage, the punt coverage guys like Matthew Slater, guys like Nate Ebner, doing their job when it comes to special teams. That makes a difference. Those little things all add up to big things at the end of the day for the Patriots and their special teams. And again, obviously they played a huge role in this victory today.
I thought Tom Brady looked a little lost without Julian Edelman out on that field after he left. Edelman did late in the first quarter with a foot injury. Chris, he was making decisions you never see Tom Brady make. First of all, the pick at the 1-yard line right behind you set up the go-ahead drive for the Giants as they marched down the field and kicked the go-ahead field goal, putting them up 26-24. The Patriots looked like they had a touchdown run from LeGarrette Blount. It was called back because of a hold on David Andrews. Then Tom Brady gets pushed back. Then they get a call against the Giants. Boy, here go the Patriots in for the touchdown. That's essentially going to put the game away. He throws an interception. The other pass, I could not believe, and Tom, after the game, said, that was a horrible throw. The other pass I thought was equally as bad was the first pass of the last drive.
Exactly.
Over the middle, throwing down the field a Hail Mary when all you needed was the field goal.
Yeah, you had two, I believe they were on the same drive, the two pass attempts from Brady toward the middle of the field, the one that was almost picked off, and then the one to Aaron Dobson, for whatever reason, the path made no sense under those circumstances. But yeah, I think you raise a really good point, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to this offense if Julian Edelman is gone for an extended stretch. He's clearly the number one receiver on this roster. He's clearly Brady's favorite target in a lot of ways. I want to see how they adjust if Edelman is lost for an extended period of time. But yeah, I thought this was not Brady's best game. You know, he made some bad throws, he made some poor decisions by his own admission. And again, I think some of that does go back to the fact that he looked a little bit lost without his favorite receiver out there in Julian Edelman.
251 yards allowed passing by Eli Manning. It's a record for Eli in the first half of any game in his 10-year career. And everybody on Twitter was blowing up, understandably so, panicked about the Patriots secondary. What adjustments did you think they made in the second half?
I thought they went to a kind of a nickel, but with 3 safeties. So one of the things that we saw right out of the gate, they pushed Dante Hightower back off the line a little bit, and that kind of cut off some of those passing lanes right underneath. I will say this, even though the stat sheet probably is not going to reflect it, I think Malcolm Butler played a really good game against Odell Beckham. I thought that after that first 87-yard touchdown grab, very early on, I thought he was very competitive, left alone on an island for most of the evening against one of the best receivers in the league.
Well, let's also bring up on that touchdown, I thought it was probably equally, if not more so, Devin McCourty's fault, because he took a terrible angle, and he's the safety over there that needs to protect. And, you know, Malcolm Butler didn't make the play, but Devin McCourty's got to be back there. But the other play everybody wanted to talk about after the game in the press conference and in the locker room was the play Butler made on Beckham to save the game, because he gets his right hand in there, and it was sort of like the end of the AFC Championship game in 2011, knocking the ball away at the last possible second to save a very important 4 points.
That's going to be discussed a little bit going forward, I think, a little bit like the Des Bryant catch, not a catch last year in the playoffs, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see what Dean Blandino says in this case, and what's written about and what's said about it going forward. But yeah, he made a great play in that circumstance, knocked the ball away, prevented them from scoring a touchdown, and it turned out to be one of the bigger plays in the game. This game was filled with plays like that, though. You know, we're going to be able to talk about the outcome of this game in Stephen Gostkowski's game-winning field goal. There were 10 or 15 plays in this contest that really, in a lot of ways, made this a classic regular season game.
Do you think this is one of the final hurdles to go undefeated, or do you still, even though the Broncos were blown out at home by Kansas City, you still think it's the Broncos or bust in terms of undefeated?
Yeah, I think the Broncos right now pose the biggest threat in terms of will the Patriots go undefeated. I also think that the game down here again against the Jets, I think the Jets are going to be better than they were the other night against the Bills. I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge as well. But you start stacking up those opponents the rest of the way, 7 more opponents. The Broncos stand out. This Jets game stands out. Not a lot the rest of the way. It's a little premature, I think, in a lot of ways to start talking about an undefeated season, but a team that goes undefeated wins games like this. We saw this team in 2007 win a handful of games like this. They get lucky, they make the plays, and in the end, they come out with a victory. That's what we saw this afternoon here at MetLife.
Cincinnati Bengals will try to match the Patriots at 9-0. They host the Houston Texans on Monday night. Then a week from Monday, it's your New England Patriots hosting the Buffalo Bills, and that will be our next activity, covering the Patriots on WEEI.com. Will the Patriots go 10-0 for the second time in franchise history? The first time, of course, back in 2007 when they completed the regular season 16-0. Ryan Hannibal has also a lot of coverage on WEEI.com. Be sure to check him out. The final, again, it was a thriller, Chris. I think by any standards, it was a thrilling, epic regular season game as they're turning out the lights here at MetLife Stadium. The Patriots win it 27-26. Inside MetLife Stadium, for Christopher Price, I'm Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com.